Ta-da! Rolling in on a Wednesday. Welcome back to another class with the Fitness Alchemists delivered to you wherever you're practicing your movement. We have an epic spine class for you today. Super excited about this. There are some optional props that you might decide to employ. And then we need you to have at least a belt, or if you've got it, a thick resistance band. These are called superbands, which work quite well, but a garden variety human belt will do, as opposed to an alien belt.
Or
and then the other props that are totally optional are something to give you a little extra feedback. So you can use a long sleeve shirt or a sweatshirt. I'll show you how that goes. And then you'll probably want a yoga block if you've got it, or a water bottle works great as well. All right, so we are going to get started, and we want to begin with our full spinal movement, and then we're going to slowly, as we go through the class, kind of whittle down and figure out which segments do we need to invest a little more time in, because our spines are the most healthy and resilient when each part of the spine can move with conscious control, each segment related to the next, or each vertebra related to the next. So that's the whole jam of this class. All right, so bring yourself into hands and knees position. We'll start with our segmental cat-cow. And what I'd like you to do first for today is just round your spine, as round as you can make it, and take a few breaths there, trying to really maximize that shape, tucking your chin to your chest, tucking your tail towards your belly button. Take a few deep breaths. See if you can get a sense of feeling that there are muscles shortening or contracting on the front side of your body, and that there are muscles lengthening or stretching on the back side of your body. Take a few more breaths and just feel into any of those sensations that you can access. And then go ahead and drop your belly button, lift your chest, lift your tail, make the opposite spine shape. And take a few breaths here, asking your body to maximize this shape of your spine, extension. And here, can you feel that you have things shortening or contracting on the back side of your body along your spine, and that things are lengthening or stretching on the front side of your body in extension. And now from here, go ahead and keep your chest open and proud. Keep your face up for as long as you can. We're going to start rounding down at the tailbone and try to work our way up segmentally, piece by piece through the spine. So go ahead at your own pace here, tucking your tail under. Start to round, moving up your spine from tail towards head as best you can, segment by segment, or one vertebra at a time. Of course, that probably won't happen, but you're going to do your best to track through. Once you get fully round, you can start over again at your tail, poking your tailbone up to the ceiling and starting to find extension or arch at your low back, middle back, upper back, moving up from tail to head once again. We're going to continue with this. You're on the clock here. As you move through now segmentally from tail to head, can you connect that sensation of what is contracting to draw me into this round shape or this flexion shape at each place? And what is contracting as I move myself into extension or that arched shape? And keep breathing. Sometimes it's really easy to hold your breath. See if you can let that breath just come in and out as you move. Good. Last 5 seconds to continue moving through at your own pace. And then your last question here as you're moving through is, are there any places in your spine that feel invisible or stuck, or where you're aware that there's one chunk, several vertebrae that are all moving as one chunk versus independently articulating? Just make some very non-judgmental notes about where those sections are, so we're going to come back to those later. And I gave you a little extra time, so 5 seconds was a total lie, but you're welcome. Okay, let that go. Fabulous. Okay, so now I'd like you to come off your wrists and just watch. We're going to show a little setup of what we're going to ask for next. You can take a little wrist break. If you're, for bonus points, you can do some wrist cars while you're listening. So this next section of the class, we're going to try to isolate the lumbar portion of the spine. So basically from the bottom of your ribs down to your tailbone. And we're going to do that in a couple of different setups. The first one, we're going to ask you to move just your lumbar section of your spine while your upper back is round or in flexion. So we'll ask Will to tuck his chin, push his shoulder blades wide, really round out that upper part, and then try his best to segment his lumbar spine into flexion, and then segment his lumbar spine into extension, keeping this rounded upper back shape. So we're going to do a little bit of that. Then we're also going to do that with the spine, upper back in extension. So the chest open and proud, getting as much arch as you can through that upper back, and then trying to get round through your low back, and then an arch through your low back as you keep your upper back in extension. Yes? Now, it can be tricky to feel if you're maintaining that rounded shape in your spine. So that's where your band or your sweatshirt can be a helpful friend. So Will, if you get into that position one more time, you can grab the sleeves of your long sleeve shirt. Yep, helps if it's a little stretchy. Placing that right across your upper back. And then you'll feel that you've got something to push up into and help you remember and maintain that roundness so that you can isolate movement in your low back. So totally optional, but can be a helpful prop if you're like, what are you asking me to do? This is insane. All right, so come on down into your hands and knees position. Go ahead and round your whole spine, tucking your chin to your really spread your shoulder blades wide, maintain your upper back round, and start to find a little bit of arch piece by piece in your low back, moving from your tail up to your lowest rib or right around your waist. Once you get as much arch there as you can, tuck back under with the tail and round piece by piece. You're on the clock. I want you to find your own pace here, working for 1 minute, keeping that upper back rounded and just exploring your ability to segment from the waist down to the tailbone. You're doing great. And just to note, if you're newer to this spinal work, you might not feel like you have much ability to segment this section of your spine. It might feel like you can get a little arch and a little round, but you're not quite sure where it's coming from. That's okay. Step one is just to feel that you can move your low back independent of your upper back, and then we can zero in from there. Last 3, 2, 1, and relax for a second. If you need to give your wrists a little bit of a shake, go for it. Play your imaginary bongos. Yes. And then come back into your hands and knees position. Max out extension. Lift your chest, lift your tail, lift your collarbones, lift your face. Keep showing off your t-shirt logo, and then start to round your low back, segment by segment as best you can. Whoa. And then start to arch your low back segment by segment as best you can. You're on the clock for 1 minute of work here. Keep trying to proudly display your t-shirt logo. This can tempt stress in the neck. We don't need it though, so just breathe some ease into your neck. Can also help to really press into the floor. Last 30 seconds of exploration. How much independent movement can you find in your low back between your lowest rib and your tippy tailbone? Breathe it in there somewhere. Good. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. Okay, fabulous. So now we've isolated the low back. We're going to now isolate a little more for the upper back. So again, give your wrists a little bit of a break. Let's give you a preview of what we're going to do, and then we'll do it together. So in a second, we're going to have you round your low back and then try to articulate from the waist up through the neck. Finding as much arch as you can there. And then finding as much round as you can there. And again, we're going to work for time, so you can move at your own pace. And then we'll have you extend your low back, reaching your belly button towards the floor, lifting your tailbone to the ceiling, and then work on rounding just from the waist up through the top of the head, and arch just from the waist up through the crown of the head. Cool? All right, so grab your block or your water bottle if you've got those things handy. We'll show you how those can play in a second when we get to these moves. We'll show you with both props because magic. All right, so come on back to that hands and knees position. Round your full spine. Commit to keeping your low back rounded, everything from your waist down to your tailbone. And starting at your waist, try to find a little bit of arch and then move that arch up your spine towards your neck. Trying to really feel what is contracting on the back side of my body as I try to bring my chest up proud, but I keep my low back round. And this might feel real weird. Keep working with that. Now trying to find roundness from your waist, moving up through your t-shirt logo zone, up through your shoulder blades and into your neck until your whole back is round again. Keep working here. You're on the clock. Finding a little arch, up from the waist to the head, just how it sounds in my imagination. And then a little rounding from your mid-back all the way up through into the head. Last 10 seconds, y'all. You're doing so good. Moving through that no man's land territory in between the shoulder blades. This is often a really tough to access area for folks. So I just ask that you do your best, gather the information that you can for 3, 2, and 1. Great. Okay. Give your wrists a little bit of a shake out if you'd like. So now we're going to ask that you keep your low back in an arch or an extension, and that we try to segment the upper back portion. So what you want is an object that you're able to just barely touch with your belly button or just below your belly button area when you're maximally extended through that lower part of your spine, such that if you start to round that part of your spine, you'll move away and lose contact. Yes, so you might have to play a little like build-a-block scenario. You might have to widen your knees, or you can like put a book underneath your block if you want to raise it up. We want it to be right at the height where you can just barely touch. This is too much for you. Just barely touch, and if you leave, you'll notice that you're leaving, yeah? So go ahead and bring your low back into that big arch, find your object. It's good if you feel like you have to actively reach for it. That helps even more. And then we'll start our minute of upper back segmentation. Starting at your chin, go ahead and tuck your chin into your chest, round through your neck, then start through the space between your shoulder blades, pushing up towards the ceiling, and rounding down as far as you can without losing contact with your object. Once you get there, start lifting your chin, extending through the neck, through the upper back, and down in between the shoulder blades. Keep working, you're on the clock here. Tucking the chin, rounding. Keep those shoulder blades spreading wide. Beautiful. Getting as far down as you can without losing contact with your object. And then lifting your chin, articulating through the spine. Keep breathing. This is tough work. Really, truly tough work. Adjust your prop as you need to. Nice job, Will. You've got 20 seconds left. Can you get any more clarity on which segments of the spine in your upper back do and don't stretch, do and don't contract? Beautiful. 3, 2, 1, and relax that. Nice. Okay, so on successive retakes of this class, if you found that keeping your low back rounded helped you get better articulation through your upper back, you could do both sets that way. Give yourself more of those inputs. Similarly, if you found that keeping your low back extended helped you get more clarity through your upper back, you could do both sets that way. So just know that you've got those options as you go through this for another time. We're gonna move on now to lying on our backs. We're gonna isolate movement in the lower back, but in a slightly different orientation. So you're gonna lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat. And you want your feet to be comfortably wide, usually about hip width distance feels good for folks, and comfortably close to your butt. So not too close, not too far. You can have your arms long by your sides. I'm gonna have Will bring his arms out like a T shape just so you can get a better view of his spine. And then what we're gonna do here, get your shirt organized. What we're gonna do is bridge the hips up and then roll the spine down. So press into your feet, we can do this all together, and feel that you're waking up muscles at the back of your legs. Use that to lift your hips up. From here, pause. Check in and try to keep your ribs on the ground. Feel into that last section of your spine that's touching the floor, and then see if you can do a little crunch to make the next part of your spine touch the floor. And then the next part, so that you're placing each part of your spine down, segment by segment, rolling through your low back, which might feel like curling your tail up to the ceiling, and doing your best to roll piece by piece. Good. Fully relax at the bottom. So we're gonna keep working on this one for time. What I want you to clue into is that you can use the floor and your sensation of coming into contact with the floor to try to get clearer. So if you noticed there was a spot in your waist to tailbone area, your lumbar spine, that was invisible, now I want you to use this drill to see if you can hone in on which part of that invisible chunk is the part that I really can't access or can't move. All right, 1 minute on the clock. Off you go. Bridging up, rolling down, piece by piece. Use that floor to help you clarify. Breathing is your friend. Good. Very, very nice. Keep working through at your own pace. Bridging up, peeling back down, piece by piece. Take your time. Feel free to go slower as you isolate those stickier sections through those sections. You've got 20 seconds left. You're doing so good. And if you're getting frustrated, also know that we're not going to fix these invisible spots in one class. That's not the goal. Our goal is to get as clear as we can about where they are. And in a moment, we're going to give you some tools for how to even bring a little more life to those places. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice. Okay, so option number 2 for this same drill is to place the feet on the wall. I'm gonna have to have Will turn so it's not a great view for the camera to do this one, but he's trying to do the same thing with his spine, but now with the feet on the wall. If you don't happen to have a wall, you can do another set with your feet on the floor just like we did. And on successive retakes of this class, if you like this setup better, if you get more clarity there versus the feet on the floor setup, feel free to do 2 sets in whatever position serves you the best. All right, so with the feet on the wall, we want the knees roughly over the hips, not too close, not too far. Again, the arms can be down by the sides, or as you get more practice with this, you can reach your arms up towards the ceiling to make your job a little more challenging. So similar idea here, you're gonna push into the wall and peel up, and then really focus on your articulation or segmentation on the way down, feeling that rib touching place and then trying to get the next part of your spine to touch, and the next, and the next. Working your way through your spine, keeping your tail curled off the ground until the very last. Good. And we'll keep working on this drill for time. So again, I really encourage you to go at your own pace, working your segmentation down to the floor. Good. Breathing. And then a great variable to play with here is how much are you using your feet? You can challenge yourself, especially on that roll down, to use your feet pressing into the floor only as much as you need help and support.
Or the wall.
Or the wall. Did I say floor?
Mm-hmm.
Words are hard. Feet pushing into the wall. Think of that pressure into the wall as a volume dial. You can dial it up if you need more support. You can dial it down if you need less support. You're looking for that Goldilocks spot that's like just right for you, where you're really feeling what it takes to contract the front side of your body to place your spine down and facilitate stretches in the back of your spine. Last 3, 2, and 1. Very nice. Okay, so now you're going to need your band or your belt, whatever you have. And we're going to use this just as an object to draw our body's attention to one of those invisible spots. We're going to do together 3 different segments for today. If this is your first time taking the class, I want you to do those 3 places. As you go through the class more times, feel free to do all 3 sets at the spot that you identify needs the most work for you, yeah? Or if you get juiciness from all 3 of them, keep working all 3. So we're going to come back to our supine position, or laying down, knees bent and feet flat. And we're going to start with the band underneath the low back, so just opposite to where your belt buckle would sit, somewhere in that lumbar spine zone. Now, if you have the band or the belt, you can hold it like you see Will doing here, so that it pulls up against you a little bit. And this is, you're not going to see a lot happening here. We're talking like really small movement, right? So we started big, we're zoning in. What we're going to attempt to have Will do here is try to flex, aka round, this specific segment of his spine that's touching the band, which will feel like he's pressing that part of his spine down into the band or the belts. And then he's going to try to gently release that and find a little bit of arch or extension right in that band. And he can help himself there by pulling up even a little more on the belt, so it feels like you have something to try to get away from. So we're going to do that 4 times. Again, not much to see, so just lay down, get your belt oriented, and we'll all go together. All right, here we go. Begin trying to find some flexion right at that segment, and then trying to find a little bit of extension. It can be really helpful to close your eyes here and tune out anything except the sensation of your spine pressing heavier into that band or that belt, and then getting lighter or lifting up away from the band and the belt. As you press heavier into the band and explore flexion, theoretically you're going to feel contraction on the front side of your body, possible stretching sensation on the back side of your spine. But again, these sensations may or may not be accessible right away. As you extend, you might find contraction on the back side of your body and stretching or expansion on the front side. All right, let that go. Now, that may have felt like a 100% joke that we just asked you to do, and that's okay. So now we want to move that band up a little bit so that you're now in your mid-range, just opposite to the belly button, and we're going to do that same drill. This one will probably feel more accessible for most people, but again, it really depends on which parts of your spine you have access to, and that's really different for each individual. So get some tension on your band or your belt so you can feel it against your back, and begin trying to find a little bit of flexion or downward pressure with your spine into the band or the belt, and then a little bit of extension, lifting up and away. You're on the clock. Move at your own pace and really put on your best spirit of curiosity, curious exploring, yeah? This can be very subtle at first, and it can take some time for your body to be able to control just one segment. But again, our healthiest spine, we're going to be able to control each segment in this exact way. So we just want to start bringing that capacity back. Last 3, 2, 1, and relax. How's that one?
Good.
Yeah.
More for sure.
More availability? Cool. And then bring that band up one more time so that you're right around where, if you are a person who wears a bra, where a bra band would live, or where like a heart rate monitor would go, in the lowest rib area, or your lumbothoracic junction.
Men who wear heart rate monitors can be lower than that.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, good to know. All right, here's what I'll say. We're below the nipple line, we're above the belly button. There's a whole lot of stuff in there, but pick a spot.
Pick a spot.
You literally could do this at every section of your spine if you had time, yeah? And as you do this class again, I want you to hone in on where do you need it? Where do you really need to build more awareness and control? All right, get some good tension on your band or your belt so that you have a sensory awareness touching your back, and begin. Flexing. Ooh, and extending. My spine just adjusted when I did that just there. So that's another thing that would be good to say. Keep exploring, but know that you might hear some sounds, some adjustment sounds, and you might really surprise yourself with the amount of effort that it feels like it takes to move particular sections. Breathe. Check in with your neck, see if there's any tension there that doesn't need to be there. You can let the weight of your head just be supported by the floor. We've got 20 seconds left at this segment. Give it a go. Just ask. See what happens. Can I flex and push towards the floor? Can I extend and lift up away from that band or that belt? Keep exploring and asking for 3, 2, and 1. Relax. All right, fantastico. So we're going to come back to our cat-cow setup. We're going to do 1 minute of just a diagnostic run where you get to just feel and integrate anything that's changed from the beginning. So bring yourself back onto hands and knees, knees under hips, hands under shoulders, and then start tucking your tail under and rounding segment by segment up through your spine. You're on the clock here. All I ask is that you notice what feels different from the first time we did this today. Once you get fully round, poke your tailbone up to the ceiling, start finding a little bit of arch or extension at each segment of the spine. You're about halfway. And just check in as you go through here. Are those same invisible spots feeling a little bit more lit up? Perhaps a little bit smaller? What was a large area is now a specific zone that's still invisible? Are you feeling any new sensations of contraction or shortening? Any new sensations of stretching or lengthening? Last 3, 2, and 1. Fabulous. Okay, give your wrists a little shake. We're going to do one more set of our segmental cat-cow. This time I'm going to give you some landmarks to help us remap those same segments. And I'm going to ask you to pause at each segment for a breath or 2. So we're going to integrate a little bit of breath to bring a little bit more awareness to those sections of our spine. All right, come on back to hands and knees one last time. All right, take a deep breath in and a deep and full breath out. Remember that you have such a good capacity to breathe. And then starting at your tailbone, can you tuck your tailbone under and hollow just your belt buckle away from the floor? Hold that for a breath in and a breath out. Try to increase it, maximize it. Good, and then start to round your belly button up away from the floor so it joins that cave of your belt buckle. Pause there, take a deep breath in. Full and complete exhale, maybe hollowing the belly button even a little bit more. Beautiful. And then start to hollow and round your lowest ribs, kind of your natural waist, lowest ribs area. Once you've maxed that out, pause, take a breath in. Full and complete breath out. And then really hollow and round your t-shirt logo and up through your collarbones. Pause there, full breath in. Full and complete breath out. Good. And then stay really round. Keep your chin tucked to your chest. Start to just lift your tail feathers to the ceiling and feel your belt buckle reach towards the floor. Just that piece. Take a breath in. Breath out. See if there's any more of that can happen. And then start to reach your belly button towards the floor. Maybe your tail feathers lift more. Take a breath in. Breath out. Is there any more of that can happen? Start to reach your waist or your lowest rib towards the floor. Pause there. Take a breath in. Breath out. Can you get any more of that? Just spending a little more time. Beautiful. Start to reach the t-shirt logo towards the floor. Good. Breath in. Breath out. Any more? Just check. Answer might be no. That's cool. And then start to lift your collarbones, neck, and chin. Ah. Breath in, breath out, and then relax. All right, gang. Really, really nice work. Thank you for spending this time on your spine. Your spine thanks you. Look at that face. This is so good. We can't wait to hear how this one feels for you. Please leave us some comments. Please ask any questions you have, and we'll see you soon.